Hi, welcome to the virtual orientation for the Eagle 321 RS-TS by Jayco. We're going to start this orientation on the outside of the RV, and we're going to begin right here in the door side underbelly or pass-through compartment. So as we open it up, we'll notice there's a few extra things in here. This is a sold unit, so disregard these items. They were purchased separately. First thing we'll see, we have the manual crank for the spare tire. Also in here we have lighting, as well as 120 volt power and a cable or satellite output. Also, next to the cable and satellite output, we have this handy tire pressure gauge. Now let's continue along. We'll make note of 1 and 2 speakers. Those can be utilized in conjunction with the stereo inside the unit. As we move closer to the front, see that we have another 120 volt power source here, and we'll notice the side marker light or running light has this extra piece. These are pre-wired for a side view camera, and this particular unit has the side view camera on it. What that means is these side view cameras will give you access to view the side of your RV while in transit or while stationary. You can view it via the head unit that is carried in the tow vehicle and plugged into your 12 volt power source. It will allow you to monitor the sides, and if purchased, the rear view camera as well, the rear of the vehicle while driving. There is a second one on the off door side as well. So as we look at the front of the unit, we'll notice they're pre-wired for a generator. As well, we have battery storage and plenty of room to connect more than one battery. Also on the front, we'll notice the landing gear, but depending on what you've had before, this could be a little bit extra, as there are the side torsion stabilizers as well that'll stop some of the movement from side to side and even back and forth. As you can see, there's this one here. The gears themselves, the landing gears themselves, function as normal up and down, and with the automated system that we'll show you later inside the other underbelly. The only thing you have to do when you're attempting to move these up and down is to make sure that these are loose, so this piece can slide within this piece, and that has to be done there, here, here, and over here. So all those 4 must be free to move before you can use the automated landing gear system or manually lifting this up and down. We'll take note of your safety breakaway switch. The loop end is attached to the tow vehicle. In the event that the tow vehicle is separated from your RV, this pin here will be removed from the housing, thus engaging your trailer brakes. Sometimes during hookup it's possible for this to be partially pulled. Well, I fully pulled that, but you can partially pull it, and it will sit just inside the housing like this. So you can see that the pin is out of the housing but didn't come all the way out. So if you weren't paying attention or weren't aware of that, the brakes now would be engaged and there would be nothing wrong with the system, just you accidentally pulled it out a bit. So you put it back in, and the safety breakaway switch is ready to go. See that we have a loading light here as well, and we have 2 switches under here that operate the running lights on the front. As we continue along to the off-door side, we'll just make a quick note of the side view camera, same as we showed you earlier. Now, I didn't show it to you on the other side, but there's a very same door on the other side that houses one of the 2 40-pound propane bottles. If I can turn the light on here for you, that you have your crossover regulator down inside this compartment here. This regulator will function the same as a regular crossover regulator. What that means is when initially this handle here is pointing to this tank, So it will draw from this tank first. Now when the tank drops below a predetermined amount of pressure, it will automatically cross over and draw from the tank on the other side. That way you don't have to get out and manually switch it over. So if you're running your furnace, it's a little chilly, late at night you run out of propane, you don't have to manually switch over and freeze yourself. So it's very, very handy to have. So now we come to the off-door side of your underbelly, your pass-through compartment here. There is a lot to talk about, so please bear with me. First, we'll make note of the storage of your 50 amp cable. This is what you would plug into your campground power supply or your power supply at home. Now some campgrounds and most homes won't have a 50 amp plug on the outside of their home. So when you go to plug this in, you're going to be probably unable to. That is why we give you the conversion to go from a 50 amp to a 30 amp. So if you are in a campground that doesn't have a 50 amp service, you have this in order to get you down to 30 amps. That being said, when you plug in at home, there's also a good chance that most of you don't have a 30 amp plug on the outside of your house. So what we'll do is inside the unit, you'll see that there is another charging block or conversion block, and it will actually go from a 30 amp plug to a regular 15 amp plug. Now, going down in circuit size or amperage size, you're definitely not going to be able to run everything in here, but you will be able to keep your fridge cold and run the lights, etc. So before we talk about the landing gear, let's make a quick little note about your battery disconnect. Now, these battery disconnects will disconnect your trailer from the battery so that it will prevent you putting a draw on your battery. In years gone past, these would pretty much disconnect everything and you'd be good to go. However, nowadays, with all the electronics, they have a constant draw. So even your USB little charging blocks, they have an LED light in there. Basically what I'm saying is this is no longer will disconnect you absolutely from your battery. So if you are not using your RV for any lengthy period of time, I'd still disconnect the battery. Now, right beside this, we have your auto level system. The way this works, to turn it on, you will press and hold. You press and hold the up and down button, and then the green light will come on. Once that green light's on, that will indicate that your system is ready to go. So if you just got to the campground, it's on the vehicle, what we'll do is put your landing gear down. So there we go. Just until it's engaged, so that you can pull the truck forward. So once you pull your truck or vehicle forward, you're good to go. You can hit the auto level and it will level everything, the front landing gear, all the stabilizing jacks and all of that. Again, make sure that those little lock handles I showed you on the front landing gear are all loose so that it can move freely. And then you can tighten it up after auto level. Now when you go to leave, they have this neat feature called hitch height. So what that'll do is when you pulled your truck out from the trailer, this system will remember what that height was. So when you hit hitch height, it'll automatically put the RV back to the height it was when you first dropped the trailer off so that you can just back right in. You don't have to turn this off, it'll automatically time out on its own. If you have any other questions about any of it, there are pretty good detailed directions down here. And of course, you can always call in and we can clarify anything if you need it. All right. Now let's take a look over here. You will see in here we have a spray hose that can be used with the spray tap up here, as well as valve handles for your black and gray water tanks. We have lighting, and right in here, I'll try to shed some more light on the situation. We have your pre-hookup for your solar. So this is the connection for your solar connection for the pre-wired solar system. So we'll start at the top here. This is pretty self-explanatory. You can see it's labeled well. I will go over it in some detail just to give you an idea. So right now, with the handle pointed in this direction, as the diagram says, we're in normal function. meaning it's going to draw or pass the water through the hot water tank. And in this position, now we are bypassing a hot water tank. So what this does is it eliminates the need for you to go searching and crawling through compartments to find the back of the hot water tank. It does the diverting of the water here as opposed to at the back of the tank. So right now we'd be in bypass, we'd be going around the hot water tank. Now we're going through the hot water tank with the water. So if we come down here below, we will see that we have 3 inlets. This one is for your black tank flush only, so you would hook your garden hose up to here and then follow the rest of the instructions that you'll find in the manuals inside the RV. But pretty much all you do is make sure that your black water valve is open and that you're connected to the sewage system of the campground. Then you can plug the garden hose into here, turn the hose on, and you can flush out your black tank. Now on this side, we have your city water connection. If you're looking to do anything with your water like as you would in a home, you would plug your garden hose from either your home or the campground into here. Then make sure that the valve handles are in this position. Then you can use the system just like you would your water system at home. So now that we've come to here, the other thing that this can do is in this position, with the water hooked up to here, you will put water through here into your freshwater tank. So if you're going to do any camping where you're not going to have a water supply or a clean water supply, then you're going to want to fill your freshwater tank, and this is how you do it. City water connection, these valves, and this orientation, and you can see right there, tank fill, there you go. Now this valve would be used for anything to do with winterizing. So if you want to use the fill hose to draw water from here, from a antifreeze jug, you would hook the fill hose up to here, put the handles back to this position, because that is for winterize, and have the fill hose here, and you can draw from antifreeze jug, pressurize your system with antifreeze, and flush it out with the antifreeze. Now, something else that you can do with these handles in this position, and again hooking up this to a fill hose, you can now draw from a detergent bucket to sanitize your freshwater tank. I would always look at the instructions provided inside the RV and your booklets to see what kind of cleaning solution you should use. Now the other thing you can do with this, as it is essentially just drawing liquid from a source and putting it into the freshwater tank, is you can fill your freshwater tank, if you don't have a garden hose to do so, from a bucket or a water bladder of some sort. So draw tube or fill tube here, combined with this valve position, will now allow you to fill up your freshwater tank with water from a bucket or a water bladder or other source of water that isn't a garden hose. There's more combinations of things, but I've covered most of it. You can also activate your water pump from here. And we have inputs for your satellite cable and auxiliary devices here as well. So we'll continue on the outside, and the next thing that we're going to come to is the outside access for your hot water tank. We'll remove the cover here and we'll take a look. There's a few things that are of importance. One being the drain plug, 2 being the pressure relief valve, and 3 being the reset. So your drain plug, before you attempt to remove this, as the hot water tank is pressurized, you want to open and leave open your pressure relief valve. All that does is ensure that the amount of pressure that builds up is released before you undo the threads of this, as it's metal and it will come shooting out of there pretty hard if you don't relieve the pressure first. Conversely, if you try to start your hot water heater and were unable to do so, it will usually make 3 attempts, and then after the 3rd attempt, if it's still unable to light, you may have to come out here and press the reset in order to attempt to light again. Previously, I had made mention of the 50 amp power supply. This is where you would connect the trailer end to the RV, right here. As we continue along the outside, the next portion we'll come to is the fridge vent. It's very important for maximum efficiency of your refrigerator that this vent remain unobstructed at all times, as it needs maximum airflow to function properly. We'll make our way along the outside, making note as we come to the back that we have ladder access to the roof. We have a hitch on the back that's great for bike racks. And we also on this unit have a rear view camera installed in the pre-wired rear view camera port. These are add-ons or extras in some models. As I mentioned earlier, the rear view camera can be viewed by using the head unit inside the tow vehicle. So if you did have bikes on your bike rack and you had your rear view camera, you'd be able to keep an eye on them and make sure that they're still attached and secure to your RV. Now earlier I had noted the crank for your spare tire. That is where it goes to lower your spare tire down. We've almost come full circle here. We're coming back to where we started. I did make note of the spray hose that you had in the underbelly there, and there is another spray port here, so you can use that spray hose on this side of the RV via that spray port as well. Let's take a step inside and we'll see what else we have to talk about here. First thing through the door, if we turn around and look down just a little bit, we will see the RV fire extinguisher. It's in a good spot if you're cooking outside. You have access to it from outside, just inside the door. However, if you are cooking inside, you have access right here. So you have quick access from any area of need. Let's turn back around, and straight in through the door, we will notice you have your JCommand system. The JCommand system has many functions. I'm not going to go in full detail here. You can play with it a little bit. You'll have a home function. Basically, you can go through the different screens over here. So that's the home screen. This is the tank, so it'll give you all the tank levels. It'll also give you kind of a user interface to do switching for your water pump or your water heater on gas or electric. We have a screen that does all your leveling and motors and awnings as well, so you can do that from right here. We have all your temperature settings, so your furnace and AC. We have the control of all your lights. We have all the information for your tire pressures and temperature and stuff. Now I will say that the tire pressure gauges, if it did come standard on this unit, we do not install them. They will be with your little warranty bag with all your manuals inside the RV, as we did not want them to get stolen on you before you got your brand new trailer. And then we have your battery level here as well. Now you will see this is Bluetooth ready. You can connect to this via Bluetooth. Up in the corner here you have this little gear wheel. Now if I click on that gear wheel, it'll bring me to a settings screen, and you can see right now it says Bluetooth connected. The reason for that is we pair our devices to the RV when we first use them to test them out. So if you unpair it, you see this screen. And what this will do is we'll walk you through what you need to do to pair your phone with the RV. The first thing you will need to do is go to either the Google Play Store or the App Store for Apple or whatever device you have and download the JCommand app. Once you've done that, it will walk you through on that side of how to pair your phone to this system. And once you do it, you can basically walk around and do all the functionality that you can here with your phone. So you can put your slides out, do the landing gear while you're outside walking around the trailer if you wish. We also have, as you can see, these quick action buttons. The first one turns on all the main lights of the trailer. This one will turn on your water pump, and these two extend and retract. So as you can see, if we hit the home button, you also have access to other things. You can play around with that and find everything you need. The Jayco software that you would use is this one right here. Okay, we're going to continue on with our tour. Go into the bathroom here. See that we have switching for your main light, your accent lights, and everything else. As we make our way to the bedroom, we will show you that we have control for your slide in here as well. That will help move the slide in and out. As you can see, there. Nice and quiet, nice and quick. We have an emergency exit in the bedroom. Emergency exit is pretty straightforward. You flip these two handles, and then you can remove the screen and escape to safety. You can see that this bedroom is equipped with a television, and that television is connected via an output as well as 120 volt power, and there's also a 12 volt power option as well. Also in the area of the TV, we have two USB charging ports, great for charging your cell phone. As we take a look inside the large closet here, this particular spot can be used for a large storage area, or it can be used for a washer and dryer combo. And you can see that it's got pre-set up for a washer and dryer. We have the drain, the water lines, as well as a vent location. Have this great walk-in closet, as well as another switch control above the bed in the slides for all of the exterior lights, all of the interior lights, and your ceiling light inside the bedroom. That way, if you forget to turn anything on or off, you can do it all right here. Let's make our way down into the main area of the RV. Take a look at your dining room. One thing that's important to note is the location of your carbon monoxide and propane detector. You see that right now there is a green light on the front. That green light indicates the system is okay and good to go. It is important to test this every once in a while. There is a button on the front here above the green light. You press that, the light will go to red, it'll make a bunch of loud beeps, and then if its system is functioning properly, it'll go back to green. Generally though, we will test it at the same time as we test your smoke alarm or your smoke detector. The general rule of thumb for your smoke alarm or smoke detector is 2 times a year at daylight savings time. That way it's easier to remember. We have your power center or load center. This is where you're going to find the breakers, same as you'd see in your house, and they function pretty much the same. And your fuses, same as you'd see in your vehicle, and again, they function much the same. Now these fuses, you will notice if there is one shorted out, or if there's an issue with any one of these, whether the fuse is burnt out or there's a problem in the low voltage wiring itself, you will see that a red LED light will light up to indicate that there is a problem with the indicated fuse or circuit. Let's take a look at your fridge. You'll see all the controls for the fridge here. The on to select between auto, which will automatically select electricity if present. If not, it will then switch to gas, or you can press this for just gas itself, and the temperature set button. And all the information for that will be displayed here. As we take a look at your stove, one thing we'll notice, this nice glass top on your cooktop. It's very important that you don't light the burners with this closed, so always open it fully. I would also suggest before you move and you're done camping, before you move the RV, close it up again just to make sure it doesn't smash or move around while you're driving. So if we take a look here, pretty nice way to light your stove. Set to the light position. turn the automatic sparker and the burner will light. Same thing for all three top burners. The only difference when lighting your oven here, or your stove, turn it to the light position, but you have to press and hold the knob in while turning the sparker knob. Now there's one thing you should never do, and that's light the stove with the door closed. Always make sure you open it, but always make sure that you open this when lighting. Now we'll take a second to just talk briefly about the unit GFCI. You'll see here, normally there's a lights on the side to indicate whether the circuit is tripped or not. Currently we're running off battery power, so there isn't 120 volt power for this to be functional. But normally, if you find that you're without power to any plugs, namely the inside plugs that are near water or on the counter, so here we have your counter plugs here that pop up. These will all be controlled with the GFCI, and it'll be this one here. So if you find you're without power in any of these plugs, outside plugs as well, yeah, come here and you'll just make sure you hit the reset button, and you should find that those plugs work. If that still doesn't fix the problem, then I would take a look at the breakers in your control center or power center there. So I'm not going to make note of all of them, but you'll see that down here, little green light, and on this side of the couch as well, we have more USB charging as well as 120 volt charging capabilities. Take a look at your stereo for the unit. It's a nice little stereo. It comes with Bluetooth connectability, as well as 3 zones, zone A and B being inside the RV and zone C being outside the RV on the speakers that I showed you earlier. So that way, if someone's inside sleeping and you want to listen to music, you can go outside and still hear the music outside, and they don't have to be woken up inside. And right below that we have your fireplace. Now if you've had an RV before, you may be familiar with some of the 30 amp powered RVs that have a fireplace. You'll notice there's a switch somewhere that will switch it between your water heater and your fireplace. Now with the 50 amp power, we are able to leave both running at the same time, as they won't produce too much of a draw to overcome the 50 amp power supplies, so we don't need that secondary switch to switch between the two of them. So with the 50 amps, you don't have to look for a switch for your fireplace to switch it between that and electric hot water. We will also notice up here that we have a little cable curled up, your HDMI. This would be from the TV to feed a DVD player or anything like that. So back in behind here, you'll notice that we have access to the back of the TV. The far side there is where we have all your connections that you'd be familiar with from your TV at home. And this is where we also have the power supply. We have a plug here as well as a couple in here that can be utilized for your complementary devices. What I also want to show you, if I can, is inside here you have your signal booster for your antenna. So if you're attempting to watch TV via the antenna, it will function better with the signal booster on. If you're attempting to watch TV with your cable or satellite, you will need to make sure that's turned off. So when you go to do your channel setup and scan for channels, if you're hooked up to your cable or satellite and you scan for channels and the picture's no good once it's all done, chances are you had your antenna booster on, so you'd have to do this, pull this TV out just a bit, reach in here, turn off the booster button. So you just press that little button, it'll turn off, and then redo your channel scan and see if that fixes your problem. That pretty much covers our virtual orientation. I'm sure there's some things that I've missed. I try to be as thorough and complete as possible. So once you get your new RV, take a look around, and then if there is something that you needed to know more about and I didn't cover it, we can still help you. Give us a call and we'd be happy to answer all your questions for you. Thank you very much and enjoy.